It is now time for another Geekdom Q&A, and this is D, of course, at Geekdom 101, the video/show where I answer your questions. And today we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 questions. I'm going to try to get through these as fast as I can, but of course I like to elaborate on my answers, so we'll see. Now, first of all, before I start answering these questions, I do want to make a correction from last week's Geekdom Q&A. Somebody asked me about Radix possibly becoming an SSJ god, and I said that if you do the ritual, anybody can become an SSJ god. But the one thing I did forget, which was just me forgetting, but I still want to make a correction, because if I make a mistake, I always want to make a correction, because it's just the right thing to do. It's just my integrity here is on the line, so I got to make sure I correct it. Yes, you do have to be pure-hearted, so that is a catch. However, I do believe that Radix, if he had lived and if he had hung out with Goku and he had been through some more stuff with the Z Fighters, I think that he definitely had the potential to be pure-hearted, even though he did threaten to kill a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old boy at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. Regardless of that, he, he's not as bad as Vegeta, and Vegeta did the ritual. So who's to say that Radix wouldn't have, I don't know, turned good at some point. But yes, you have to have a pure heart to tap into that form. So let's get right into it here. First question is from The Worst 17. Here we go. Yo, wouldn't Vegeta be able to learn the Spirit Bomb? Someone probably already said this. In Battle of Gods, the way to create the SSJG was for the other Saiyans to contain pure hearts, and Vegeta was one of them, so that means he could learn the Spirit Bomb, or is that a mistranslation or something? Also, you know how in BOG Beerus told Goku merely feeling that level of power was enough to push you to new heights? Shouldn't the original SSJG have gotten that huge boost also and defeated the evil Saiyans easily? Very good question. Very, very good question here. I like it. So, okay, first of all, can Vegeta learn the Spirit Bomb / Genki Dama? Theoretically, I would say yes, because he is a pure heart by the end of the show, or by Battle of Gods, that is, which is before the end of the show or before the end of the manga. Then yes, if he's trained to do it, he could learn it. Same thing with Gohan. Very interesting that Goku never really taught that move to anybody else, but whatever, it does take forever to set up. Vegeta's fighting style does not seem like the type that would take forever to set things up, but yes, to answer your question, he could definitely learn it if he was taught it, so yes. I don't think it's a mistranslation. I don't remember hearing that in any of the versions, but I would say yes, he can. And now the other question you had was about the beerus tapping into the fact that Goku felt that level of power pushed him to new heights. That seems to be the case with what happened here. The whole concept was that Goku is such a fighting genius, as they put it. He's such a, I guess, well-developed fighter, even though his brain for doing other tasks is, a little bit juvenile. We can all agree to that. He is a genius fighter, and as a result, just feeling the power allowed his body to kind of learn the knowledge of being a god and absorb it. Shouldn't the original SSJG have gotten that huge boost? No, because he was not as smart as Goku. That's the way I always saw it. Goku was a real prodigy because he was able to tap into that power and learn it just like that, whereas the original god was not that skilled of a fighter. In fact, I guess that he kind of flopped from what we know, so Goku's the special one here. And of course, Vegeta in Revival of F. Sorry, there's a spoiler in case you haven't seen the movie. These videos are hard to do without spoilers. We get a lot of questions for the recent stuff, so just letting you guys know, if I spoil the movie, I apologize. I'm sure it'll be, you'll get to see it in August, all right? Everybody's been asking me for a link to the movie or whatever. Download it. You'll get to see it very soon. I actually don't have a link as of this recording. I may have one by the time the video goes up, but I don't have anything right now. Julian Silva. Hey, maybe this can be your next Q&A. Is SSJGSS stronger than SSJG? Now, by the way, Julian, I still cannot respond to you. I don't know why. And I know that some other YouTubers like Kwame, he had an issue responding to somebody too. So there's something weird going on with certain YouTube accounts. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But he continues to say, now I know everyone probably thinks it's a dumb question, but hear me out. Well, I mean, I see why you would put that, because yes, SSJGSS is stronger than SSJG, but there is more to this. Goku says in the movie that the new form is a Super Saiyan with God powers, or Super Saiyan if you want me to say it that way, folks. You tell me how you want me to say it. Does that mean the full God powers or just a bit of it? That's the good question right there. And if it is just a bit of it, then does that mean that SSJG is stronger than SSJGSS? I think, and again, the problem with this form is that it was not explained in the theatrical cut of the movie. Will it be explained in the extended? If there is one, yeah, I think so, or I hope so. There's not enough of an explanation about this form. There just isn't. And theoretically, what I believe, and what a lot of other people believe, is that Goku, in between the time of Battle of Gods and Revival of F, Resurrection F, whatever, I think he did kind of learn to master that SSJG form. Now, this could be wrong, but that's what I think it is. And I think that the SSJGSS, or whatever, I think that that form is kind of the mastered version. I mean, a lot of people have speculated on that. It's not outwardly said in the show. In fact, it's very strange. And when I say show, I mean movie. It's very strange because Vegeta refers to himself as the Densetsu no Super Saiyajin to Golden Frieza, which is the legendary Super Saiyan. But this is not the legendary Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan. This is Super Saiyan, God Super Saiyan. So I don't know. I don't know what... I don't know why he said that. I would have called myself Densetsu no Super Saiyajin Godo. You know, you throw that one at the end of it. And then it's like, oh shit. I don't know. It's weird. But it is pretty implied that the blue hair is stronger than the red hair. George Flowers, what is your stance on face shots and how much would you charge for a cum shit to the face? P.S. Love your vids. I guess you meant cum shot to the face. I charge based on how many subscribers I have. So as of the recording of this video, I'm a little over 1,700. So if you want to deliver one of those to my face, it's going to cost you about $1,700. My goal is to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, brother. So you better hurry up, because when I hit 10,000, it's going to cost you 10,000. You feel me? So hurry up on that one. Alec Toledo, I have a question on what you feel Dragon Ball Z didn't do that Dragon Ball did. I love this question. Just wondering basically what you think are the elements of Dragon Ball that Z did might incorporate, or do you feel it was all the same? It did not incorporate is probably what he means. So Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are definitely the same story. Without question they are, because in the manga form it was one big large manga, 1 through 42. That's why I always say if you haven't seen Dragon Ball, you're missing part of the story. But I see where you're going with this. More so how the content of the show and the themes kind of, segued into what it became. One of the big misconceptions is that Dragon Ball is all comedy. That's not the case at all. What it is that the early episodes, and yes, there is a lot of comedy, don't get me wrong. The early episodes were a lot more episodic. Even though it was an arc, it was still very kind of week to week kind of situational, whereas it didn't become this, long, what's the word? Serialized. That's the word I'm looking for. Show until the Red Ribbon Army. So right around, actually the tournament. So right around the tournament saga, you start to see the show kind of shift into what Dragon Ball Z would become. But the one thing that Dragon Ball, I think, did differently than Dragon Ball Z, and I may do an entire show about, or an entire video about this, down the line, down the road, is that I think Dragon Ball focused a little more on the martial arts. Like I've said before on these things, my fiance is watching the show with me, and she has told me she misses the tournaments. The tournaments were a lot of fun and were an easy way to book new characters and to get characters over. I'm using carny language here. It was an easy way to get these characters to become... for us to learn about them, whether it be Tan and Chaozu, whether it be Roshi, whether it be Piccolo Jr., it doesn't matter. Dragon Ball Z did a tournament. The Cell game is one, and then also the Buu Saga tournament. I'm not including the filler. And the Buu Saga tournament, that kind of was just like a backdrop for a storyline, right? Whereas in Dragon Ball, the tournament actually had like a legit finish with the main character still there. They didn't all fly off to go, fight Bobby D or whatever. So I think that the martial arts aspect of Dragon Ball was also something that Dragon Ball Z kind of became this whole, clash of titans type thing with beam attacks and whatnot, and Dragon Ball had those too, but Dragon Ball really focused a lot on technique and on outsmarting your opponents. It didn't just become one of those new transformation, new form, we won. You know, that's one of the things I'm worried about that's going to happen with Dragon Ball with these last two movies. They're getting new forms, and it's like, well, whatever happened to using your head, which is how they won the battles in Dragon Ball for the most part. So it is missing that. Also, Dragon Ball is much more mystical and magical. It's much more of an adventure story, which I like. I mean, I enjoy that. Much more of an adventure cartoon, whereas Dragon Ball Z was much more of an action cartoon. Even though they both had action and adventure, you can kind of see the paradigm there. That's a big word for Latino. You know, Dragon Ball Z was really a sci-fi kind of thing. Like all the elements that Toriyama introduced in Dragon Ball, like the fact that Goku's a monkey boy who can become a giant monkey, and the fact that Piccolo is a demon that's one half of a god and they used to be one being. All that magical, mystical stuff kind of gets explained in Dragon Ball Z as being like a sci-fi thing. So magic is kind of, you know, they kind of bring it back in the Buu Saga a little bit with the whole gods and Majins and magician Babi D, Madoshi Babi D and all that shit. But you know, that's kind of the big differences. A lot of people like Dragon Ball more because Dragon Ball does have a better ending, and I might do a video about that one too later on. So Saiyan Baller, who's actually PMing me right now on Facebook as we speak. That's right, folks. Saiyan Baller found me on Facebook, my private Facebook. So just to let you know, anybody can be found. How long do Saiyans or Saiyans live for? Many fans... Actually, I'm going to get to this. I'm going to answer one at a time here. These are two questions from Saiyan Baller. I don't know how long they live for, but they live for a long time, all right? That's all we know. They can live for a long time, especially if they are physically healthy, like Goku and Vegeta. By the end of Dragon Ball Z, we see that the human characters have aged dramatically, but Goku and Vegeta look pretty much the same. No gray hair, nothing. So it tells me that their aging has always been weird, but that tells me that they live a long time. Remember, they stay as being kids longer than regular human kids do, and then they have that growth spurt, which explains why Goten and Trunks still look like kids in Battle of Gods, and why Goku looks like a kid during the Piccolo arc before the Piccolo Jr. arc, because, you know, he's like a teenager basically, I mean, for all intents and purposes, but he's still small. He's a little bit taller, but he's still a kid. So that's just how their genetic makeup is. Second question. Many fans dislike the ending to the Dragon Ball manga. In your eyes, what's the proper and more fan service ending? I think the proper and more fan service ending would have been the ending to Dragon Ball Online, where Goku and Vegeta fly off into space and have their final battle, and there's a supernova that gets detected somewhere in the heavens, and there you go. Or it could be that actually you do the same thing, but you actually have a new villain come in and Ubu takes him out, and then Oob is officially the new main character. Goku passing the torch, I think, is the best ending. And they may still do that with Dragon Ball Super, who knows? But the GT ending, I thought was... I don't really like those kind of endings that are kind of ambiguous. I mean, I guess it depends on what we're talking about as far as fiction goes, but those kind of endings, in my opinion, are a little bit played out. I don't know if you'll agree with me on that one, but that's how I feel. But I think that the ending where when you see Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. in GT, that's good. Like, that's cool. And then I just feel like Goku just flying off is like kind of leaving it open, which is what they wanted to do anyway. So here we go. We got Dragon Ball Super coming, so maybe we'll get a new ending now. But yeah, it's a little, I don't know. Maybe it is a little bit underwhelming. I might do a video on that too. Who knows? Young Savage. Do you like the Battle of Gods SSJ God form better than the Revival of F SSJ God form? No, I like the Revival of F one more. I like the blue hair. A lot of people dislike the SSJ God form because it's like it's Kaioken, except he's all skinny. You know, and different criticisms that you'll hear from the internet and from Dragon Ball fans. That's fine. I mean, whatever. You have a right to your opinion. I thought it was fine. I thought the reason why Goku got so skinny is because that's kind of how gods are. Look at Beerus. Beerus is super skinny. Of course, there's Toriyama's art changing, but I always thought that when you tap into that god power, you just become really thin. But in Revival of F, we see Vegeta and Goku power up to these new, powered up god forms, and they're not thin, so it's it's like a different kind of form. But no, I like the blue hair. I really do. The aura is pretty cool too. So that's my opinion. Jamar Grove, how powerful do you think Oob will be or could be? I think that Oob has a lot of potential, and I hope that we see it in Dragon Ball Super, although we probably will not. I like Oob. I mean, GT really dropped the ball on him. They literally forgot about him, and it was a shame because I was really hoping he would be one of the top, new characters. But of course, I was hoping that by watching Z, because I had seen GT originally out of order, so I kind of knew they dropped the ball on him before actually seeing them drop the ball on him, so, that sucks. But he fused with Majin Buu and then became like Majin Oob, which I guess was supposed to be Super Buu all over again. I mean, I'm not really sure. I always felt the idea behind Oob was that he was super powerful because he had the Kid Buu power, but if that power could be harnessed and controlled, and much like Frieza in Revival of F, if Kid Buu, because essentially Oob is Kid Buu, if he trained, which we don't think that Kid Buu ever trained, he just absorbed people. If he trained his body, who knows what the potential could lead to. So I think that he could be very powerful. And as it stands right now, if you look at the top 5 characters in the series, you've got, with the new movie, okay, you've got Whis at the top. He ain't going nowhere. Beerus, Goku, and Vegeta probably tied, but it's tough to say. Golden Frieza, who's dead, but whatever. And then Oob is right beneath them. So that's how I see it. Victor Malvar-Rael, for a different Q&A, can you just do your thoughts on movie villains' favorite, and at least maybe some facts about them not well known? I think it'd be interesting because even though they aren't canon, besides Beerus and Frieza in the movie, some are rather interesting. There's a long-term project I am working on with regards to this. I'm going to answer this a little bit here. I'm not going to give the full answer because I'm working on something that's going to take a lot of freaking work. But it's going to be awesome when it gets done about the movies. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but let's just say that it hasn't been done before. Well, I mean, it has, but not to this level. My favorite movie villain is Janemba, and it's purely based on just 2 things. Three things. He looks freaking awesome. He's just a dangerous devil thing. He's created from pure concentrated evil from the machine that's supposed to filter evil out. So that's awesome. That's actually very creative of Toei to come up with something like that. In many ways, that should have been the last villain. Like, even though it's a movie villain like that, I feel like Toriyama, I don't know if I were Toriyama, I'd be kind of jealous that I didn't come up with that, because that would be a great final villain, the pure concentrated evil. And of course, the fact that he can literally screw up the space-time continuum and do things that we only seen Janemba and Beerus do, that wacky kind of teleportation where they can make their own portals, just trippy shit. He can take a stick and make it into a sword. That kind of stuff is just incredibly badass. I mean, the guy, I think Janemba deserved more than just 1 movie. Broly gets 3 movies and Janemba gets 1. Give me a break. And I'm talking about final form Janemba, not fat Janemba. Also, I do love Cooler, of course, and I do love Garlic Jr. Those are probably my top 3. Dr. Guido was awesome too. My least favorite is probably Bojack, only because he gets the least amount of character development ever. It's like Kai says 2 lines about him, and that's his whole backstory. I mean, he looks cool. He's a space pirate with a bandana, and he's got a little crew with him, and that's kind of cool, but there's literally no character development at all. And why did he just appear on Earth and not appear in the other world when he was unlocked from Kaio's planet or whatever? It was kind of lazy writing. That movie has really great animation. It's a beautiful movie, don't get me wrong. Some really cool fight scenes, but the writing is very lazy. Actually, I was going to say it's a tie between him and Super Android 13, because 13's just, especially he makes a redneck in the dub. That's actually one of the funny things about that dub, is that he's a redneck, and I'm okay with it. That's kind of funny. And then Trunks even calls him a redneck. It's wacky. But, and then he's basically Blue Broly. That's basically what he is, right? Orange freaking hair. When are they going to throw that one in there as a new form? But yeah, those are kind of my least favorite. Lord Slog was kind of a copy of Demon King Piccolo. So he was like, whatever. Like, he wasn't one of the best ones. So that's it, man. That's it for this edition of the Q&A. Drop the freaking questions down below, and I'll be bringing these to you weekly if I can. With Dragon Ball Super coming, I might have to squeeze them into bi-weekly, but probably not. I think I can keep up with this. Drop your questions down below. Thank you for listening. I love each and every one of you for real. And remember, do something nice for somebody, because our tomorrows are not promised. I'll catch you down the road.